One night, I went to keep the clock company. It had a loud tick after midnight, as if it were uncommonly afraid. It's like whistling past a graveyard, I explained. In any case, I told him I understood. Once there were clocks like that in every kitchen in America. Now the factory's windows are all broken. The old men on night shift are in Charon's boat. The day you stop, I said to the clock, the little wheels they keep in reserve will have rolled away into many hard to find places. Just thinking about it, I forgot to wind the clock. We woke up in the dark. How quiet the city is, I said. Like the clocks of the dead, my wife replied. Grandmother on the wall, I heard the snows of your childhood begin to fall. Taking a comfortable seat, feet flat on the floor if you're sitting in a chair. Letting your hands fall into that pose of receptivity. Just open on your lap if that feels comfortable. And then beginning with your awareness, placing your awareness right here at the center of your forehead. We talk a lot about moving awareness around the body. You can feel your awareness in your left hand, and there it is. And then make it leap to your right hand, and there it is. Rather than putting your awareness on a place of discomfort just yet or pain, just place it right in the middle of your forehead. And then straighten the neck just a little bit. Lengthen the back a little bit by a millimeter if that's possible. And then everything begins to soften. Now that you've created that conduit, softening the muscles in your face, the cheekbones, the jaw, feeling the back of your neck soften, running down into your chest, creaking open that cathedral door. Just as an experiment for half an hour to leave it all open, to let in what comes in and let out what comes out. And then the belly softens. All that tenseness and protectiveness and defensiveness just for the next half hour. And now we're in it. And the walls begin to expand on both sides. and the ceiling rises. Like what Raymond Carver describes when he says that any room you're in could become a cathedral. Breathing in to the count of 4. Pause at the top. And breathing out to the count of 5. You might breathe in the pain of somebody you love. And then in that fire of the heart, alchemize it into compassion. Breathing in the suffering to the count of 4. Breathing out to the count of 5, sending them compassion. And you might say, like I do, breathing in, I know this is an illusory world. Breathing out, I choose this world to help relieve the suffering of others. The clocks of the dead. One night, I went to keep the clock company. It had a loud tick after midnight, as if it were uncommonly afraid. It's like whistling past a graveyard, I explained. In any case, I told him I understood. Once there were clocks like that in every kitchen in America. Now the factory's windows are all broken. The old men on night shift are in Charon's boat. The day you stop, I said to the clock, the little wheels they keep in reserve will have rolled away into many hard to find places. Just thinking about it, I forgot to wind the clock. We woke up in the dark. How quiet the city is, I said. Like the clocks of the dead, my wife said. Grandmother on the wall, I heard the snows of your childhood begin to fall. A friend of mine here told me just this morning that she's doing research on peacocks in ancient Indian art. And wherever she looks, wherever she goes in the city, whatever she's reading, it seems like peacocks keep appearing to her. The peacocks are talking to her. Life is talking to her. That somehow there's this metaphorical conversation that's going on with what she's studying and paying attention to and what she's noticing in the world. And that seems to be happening here in the clocks that are speaking back to, let's say, Charles Simic, the Serbian American writer who died last year, one of my favorite writers, who was in exile and who could see things from the outside, like an exile can see, that we on the inside sometimes have a hard time perceiving. It was quite a day yesterday because somebody asked me an important question about how I meditate. And I realized that my answer was connected to this poem that I'd chosen. In the Mandukya Upanishad, the word Om is described as having 4 levels, each one for a sound in that word. Ah, U, and then the silence that follows it. Jagrat is the sound of ah, and that's waking consciousness. And there is a kind of meditation that we can participate in that has to do with waking consciousness, with walking through the woods, paying attention to what we see there, or caring for others, taking care of people and taking care of ourselves. This is a kind of meditation. But in that meditation, there's an I and there's a you. There is this duality and this separation that has to do with driving on the right side of the road and being careful and being attentive so that nobody gets hurt coming down the other side of the road toward you. That's ah. And u is svapna. Svapna is dream consciousness. That's another level deeper. Dream consciousness is like what's happening to my friend with the swans, or what's happening to, or the peacocks, and what's happening to Charles Simic with the clocks. Dream consciousness is when we walk through the world as if in a waking dream, where there is an I and there's a you, like when we dream at night, but we realize that it's all coming from one source, from one mind, that things seem separate, but they're actually all the same. And everything is a metaphor for everything else. And when we're in this svapna kind of meditation, we might be writing poetry. Writing poetry is a kind of meditation for me, for sure. I disappear. I don't quite go completely away, but I disappear from that waking consciousness of I and you, that Aristotelian world. And I go into a place where everything I'm looking at is me in a mask looking back. Coincidence and synchronicities are available to me in those moments. And then there's an even deeper level, which is deep sleep. That's sushupti. That's the sound of Om. And in deep sleep, there is no I and there is no you. And these are the contemplative practices that encourage us to mind the gap, to pay attention more to the gap between your thoughts than the thoughts that flash before you. To wait for that darkness between the thoughts and to say, that's where I really am somehow. That the I that is the true self is waiting there in that darkness between the flashing of my thoughts. That's sushupti, that's And then the fourth, which is related to this poem, is Turiya. It's a word that means the fourth. It's silence. It's the silence that we come out of and the silence that we go back into when we die. But it's also the silence that is somehow pervading all of this. You might call it logos or the Holy Spirit, but it is the unspeakable, unnameable, formless essence out of which all of this has come and goes back into and emerges from again. Visionaries seek it, but can't talk about it. We can mull it, but we'll never quite reach it. And I think that Charles Simic is reaching all of those four levels in his poem. And that's why I love it so much. In fact, all the poems that I love are doing this. They are at the ah and the oo and the and Turiya, the fourth silence, all at the same time, like Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening or poems by Emily Dickinson. That's kind of my jam. That's what I love about the poems that really sweep me away. You've got the ah here, the waking consciousness. It's the married couple in their bed at night. There's an I and there's a you in the poem. And they're literally waking in the darkness together. And they seem to be asking each other at the end of the poem, like, how do we take care of each other to quell this eerie feeling that we have being in a huge, expansive darkness together? And then there's an ooh meditation or an ooh consciousness, a dream state in this poem for sure. It's the conversation with the clock. It is like a dream. It's strangely surreal. He goes down to keep the clock company. He starts trying to quell the clock's fears because it's ticking louder at midnight, like whistling past a graveyard, pretending everything is okay. But it's a dream consciousness because it's a metaphor. These are not clocks that he's talking about. This is his own heart at night. This is the fear that we wake up with in the middle of the night. Where am I? What am I? What's happening? Where am I going? Where did I come from? You know, all of these clocks of the dead are the hearts of those who have gone. And where did they go? Where did all of that ticking and activity go? These are the questions that we ask in our dreams, and they come to us as peacocks and clocks. And there's a deep sleep here too, and the deep sleep is magic in this poem because it's in the gaps between the stanzas and the sentences. You can even hear it when I'm reading it to you. There's a little pause, leap after leap in that last stanza, especially until we get to the really magnificent leap at the end. Grandmother on the wall, I heard the snows of your childhood begin to fall. In all good poems, what's really awaking us is the darkness between the flashes of what the poems are saying. There is a power in that moment of transmutation when one thought becomes another thought, and the reader is asked to create meaning in the interstice. That's deep sleep. And then the fourth, of course, Turiya here, how quiet the city is, like the clocks of the dead. This whole poem is about that river of silence underneath all of this activity. He gets to that last moment, grandmother on the wall, I hear the snows of your childhood begin to fall. The snows of the grandmother's childhood have haunted me since 1995 when I first read this poem in A Wedding in Hell. It's one of the most beautiful images in poetry for me. It's, it's the Holy Spirit, it's Logos. It's Brahman. It's that energy that is pervading all of this. And where is it? What is it? It's the most secret falling through everything, like that snow. Here it is, ah, oo, and Turiya in the clocks of the dead. One night I went to keep the clock company. It had a loud tick after midnight, as if it were uncommonly afraid. It's like whistling past a graveyard, I explained. In any case, I told him I understood. Once there were clocks like that in every kitchen in America. Now the factory's windows are all broken. The old men on night shift are in Charon's boat. The day you stop, I said to the clock, the little wheels they keep in reserve will have rolled away into many hard to find places. Just thinking about it, I forgot to wind the clock. We woke up in the dark. How quiet the city is, I said. Like the clocks of the dead, my wife replied. Grandmother on the wall, I heard the snows of your childhood begin to fall. Okay, going back into that restful state, that state of repose and receptivity. And just now feeling a little smile in your heart, not in your face, not around the mouth, but in the heart. And just letting that heart smile touch every cell of your body. And walk down the street with that heart smile. Dogs and babies will make eye contact with you. People might not see it. Plants will turn in your direction. We can capture it all. Maybe we can meditate on all four of those levels at the same time, wherever we're at in our practice. With paying attention, being on the right side of the road, putting the phone in the glove compartment, doing our best to take care of each other. And dream consciousness, remembering all the same. This is Leela. This is the dream of the world. This is the play of the universe. This is Pema Chodron. Choose one or two things you do regularly in your daily life. It could be something you see or hear, a certain sign or a door to your apartment, or the sound of your phone, she says. Then, whenever you do or see that thing, pause and say, this is a waking dream. You'll gradually become more accustomed to questioning the harsh solidity of your experience. This is a waking dream. Deep sleep. Like those gaps between Simic's thoughts or between the stanzas. Living in the gap between whatever thoughts are flashing through your mind. noticing those gaps and widening them. Seeing the self in them. You're having trouble finding the gaps. Even that, you should be congratulated for, because now you're watching for them. It's moments of transmutation. Turiya, what's running through all of this? Nisargadatta says, the real thing is what you can never lose. It's another way of talking about it. It's what you can never lose. The ground of being or emptiness. There are many names for it. What a relief. The never born and the never to die. Just say at the end here, I bow to what is in me that I can never lose. May I befriend what is in me that I can never lose. May I be held by what's beyond all of these names and forms. The clocks of the dead. One night, I went to keep the clock company. It had a loud tick after midnight, as if it were uncommonly afraid. It's like whistling past a graveyard, I explained. In any case, I told him I understood. Once there were clocks like that in every kitchen in America. Now the factory's windows are all broken. The old men on night shift are in Charon's boat. The day you stop, I said to the clock, the little wheels they keep in reserve will have rolled away into many hard to find places. Just thinking about it, I forgot to wind the clock. We woke up in the dark. How quiet the city is, I said. Like the clocks of the dead, my wife replied. Grandmother on the wall, I heard the snows of your childhood begin to fall. Thank you, everyone.